Welcome to the Catholic Table Talk podcast. This is where everything Catholic is on the table. New episodes Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on most podcast platforms. Here's your host, William Sauber.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Thank you again for joining us here on the episode on Catholic Table Talk podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the show on all of our platforms. Don't forget to check out our new and ever-improving website, CatholicTableTalk.com. It's basically a flagship where we kind of base out of now, so check that out daily. As well as today's show sponsor is Dr. George Saguma. Dr. George Saguma is a family physician who practices holistic health and healing. Find more at drgeorge.com. He practices medicine in prisons. He teaches the good word to prisoners, but he also helps you online with your needs. So don't hesitate to reach out to him at drgeorge.com. A good friend of the show, and hopefully, Dr. George, you'll continue improvement on your health. And thank you again for sponsoring today's episode. If you'd like to sponsor today's episode on Catholic Table Talk, just reach out to us via email, catholictt@gmail.com. Also, reach out to us on our website as well. Today we'll have, as you see on the screen right here, folks, we'll have a brand new guest. And I met him a couple months ago.
And we're on Catholic Table Talk podcast. Welcome to the show. I'm not sure where William went, but yeah, I'm David the Zealot from the Zealots Den. Thanks for having me tonight, Brother William. I like what he's doing over here on CTTP. It's a good little channel. And tonight we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts of worship. Things we should remember to do to just be good, faithful servants, and some things we should stop doing that aren't in the canon and are just kind of improper or poor etiquette. So we're going to get into that as soon as Brother William gets back to Catholic Table Talk.
I'll cut it short for you folks. My internet's not really working, which is very, very strange. It hasn't really happened at this place before, so I think the enemy does not want us to have the show. So please make sure you really like, subscribe, and share the episode, because Satan does not want us to have the show apparently. So as I was saying, the David, unless he already introduced himself, from the Zealots Den is here with us to talk about kind of do's and don'ts, what we like to see and what we don't like to see, and what we may want to have bring back as Catholics, people of faith, not just in church, but also outside of the church. And we'll kind of play off each other. We'll have a few do's and don'ts. And again, the Zealots Den on YouTube. He says he's a regular Catholic guy, but I watch the show, and he's very energetic, very funny, very honest, and he's had lots of great guests and great success on there. So again, check him out, YouTube at the Zealots Den, and support his ministry because he does great work. So David, thank you again, brother, for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, William. I like what you're doing over here. It's funny because I did a good job, because you must have been listening. We said the same thing when I was pretending to introduce the show. But yeah, so I guess when I say a regular Catholic guy, good point, because I guess I mean a regular Boston Catholic guy, because I guess there's nothing regular about me. But yeah, I like how you said in church and out of church, because a couple of the things that I had thought of. But yeah, so I am from the Zealots Den. Feel free to go check it out. Hopefully we will have William on an episode soon. But would you like me to get right into some of the topics at hand?
If you would, please, that'd be great.
Yeah, nice. So in particular, one thing I was thinking of when you had mentioned in church and out of church is an often forgotten about old tradition is when I pass churches, Catholic churches, and cemeteries, I make the sign of the cross. Yeah, because I actually find you can be daydreaming while I'm driving. I don't recommend it, but and then you come across and you catch a cemetery, and I notice you come from daydreaming to remembering about God. And then another thing about making the sign of the cross that some people may not know or forget is it's actually like a short Nicene Creed. because you're kind of professing, I believe in the Father, I believe in the Son, I believe in the Holy Spirit. So it's a prayer in a way. So just kind of bringing us back, as you said, to God, keeping Him on our minds always, inside and outside of church. And it's I find it's a sign and a symbol to remind other people of God, because
Right.
there's a lot of cemeteries in Catholic churches. So every time a Catholic passes those, we're all making the sign of the cross. It's just kind of reminding people that God is true and real, and He has a whole den of zealots of Catholics who are doing all these pious traditions.
I see what you did there. I like it.
Yeah, thank you, William. And as far as in church, so there's actually, believe it or not, me and William today, we're going to give kind of our opinions. We're no, Catholic theologians or doctors of the church to tell you how to and to not worship or pray, but some of our preferences. But some of these actually you can check in the canons and missals. Some of them are actually proper. What I was hoping to talk about. So one of them, particular, in my church, when you attend, well, most Novus Ordo churches, when you attend them, the priest a couple times throughout the mass will say, "Peace be with you," and then you say, "And with your spirit." And a lot of people like to also do a gesture like this. That
Yep.
we should stop doing that. I believe it's just not. Someone started doing it one time and it kind of gained steam and became popular, but it's not. So I actually found myself doing it, and I have to like stop myself from doing it now because it's an old habit. But just things like that, for example, is what are some of the one of the ones that you had on your mind, William?
Actually, we kind of think alike. This is kind of
Get out of
awesome
my
to
head,
see.
William. Get out of my
Right.
head.
Because I mean, I'm just going off of your point, David. I mean, I just learned that about probably a few months ago to a year ago. And I was doing the same thing, and most of my family did as well, and most of the people in our parish.
Hmm.
Now I started learning more about it, and it just seemed like the more I learn about it, like I don't know, I think it's gaining steam, so to say, because
Yeah,
I see
yeah,
less and less people doing it in different churches. So, um, you know, maybe I still catch myself doing it, but then I'm like, oh no. So I
yeah, yeah.
totally agree
Same,
with you.
same.
And actually, I had the sign of the cross on my dope list because I mean, so that's kind of broad, but this is what I'm talking about is people are afraid to do the sign of the cross in public. I mean,
Oh,
I can raise my hand. I might do a quick, maybe inappropriate sign of the cross at times, just because I'm bashful. I'm like, I'm at Burger King or something. I just like pray real quick and eat my food, right?
hmm.
Um, but I mean, Catholics shouldn't be afraid of doing sign of the cross. I mean, again, like Jesus said, you shouldn't be doing it so then you get noticed. Like, hey, everyone, I'm gonna make the sign of the cross. I'm Catholic, by
Yeah.
the way.
Right.
Which is at Tim Toy.
Everybody pay attention. I'm saying grace. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But I mean, you still gotta do it. You still evangelizing. And actually, David, when you're talking about that as well, um, I was actually listening to Dr. Taylor Marshall today, and he had Jesse Romero on recently on his show, and he's like, and if you do the sign of the cross in public, you get you get you get graces, and actually, even the people kind of get that grace as well who are watching you. So again, don't do it like yell out to the streets, "Hey, I'm doing the sign of the cross," but don't be afraid to do the sign of the cross, wherever you're at in public. That might be like, I mean, you said you might be walking down the street past a church or cemetery. You might be in a grocery store. You want to pray real quick. It might be going out to eat, whatever the case might be.
That's
Um,
funny. That's funny you talking about how you can give other people graces by the actions that we take. And that actually reminds me of something that I was reminded of. Some of us sometimes we don't want to bother our priests, or even if you see a nun or any type of clergy that's a servant of God. You don't
right.
want to bother them. You're like, oh, they're probably busy. They have plenty to do already. I don't want to bother them with little old me. But something I was reminded of, if you go up, if you see a father or a nun or something, and you ask them to pray for you or ask them for anything, you're actually helping them get into heaven. because when a priest praying for you and stuff. So don't take the approach of, oh, I'm a burden, or they have enough to do. Especially as children of God, we should always have extra time and prayers and thoughts for one another. But it's just something that I thought, if you don't want to, instead of having the mindset of I don't want to be a burden to a priest, consider it like I can help him get him, closer to God and do more blessings and works graces for God. Instead of shying away from each other. And that's how we build the community. If we're not being shameful or trying to bother everyone, if we're all talking about God more and asking more from each other, whether it's prayers or adoration times and any type of devotion. Can you do a rosary with me? Because sometimes we need a kick in the butt, someone else, you know what I mean? Maybe then we're having that. If I ask you to do a decade with me, that's one more decade that you wouldn't have done, and then more prayers that you're saying, more roses offering up to Jesus and Mary. So it's all good things. So never be shy to, as you said, do any act of charity for another or for God.
Right, absolutely. And one of the things too I thought about for more doing, or maybe don't do, I can't remember which it was, but in church, I had actually this happened to me this past weekend, for the sign of peace. Everyone knows it's coming, and yes, ever since COVID, especially, people don't really like to shake hands, and I mean, okay, everyone's, I guess, their opinion. I mean, or that's okay. But, I mean, there's no law that you have to shake hands at the sign of peace. Multiple gestures you can do, but and I mean, but don't really act surprised, or don't really act like staying to yourself, I should say. Have that friendly gesture. I mean, I was in church and I turned around to this good husband and wife behind me, and extend my hand, and they just like they had missiles out, and they just kind of look up like, yeah, peace, peace. It's like, be open. I mean, again, peace to you, because I don't know, maybe you're ignoring Jesus in that person right next to you if you can't say the sign of peace smilingly, or you know what I mean.
I do. That's actually one that slipped my mind, but that's actually, and I actually have this experience every week. Some weeks are better than others, but and another maybe I could add this to what you were saying is, never mind to give peace to people with charity and a smile. Like you're joyous to be at church, right, William? Not like you're a grumpy cuss behind me. Yeah. We're suffering we're at the supper of the Lamb. Why are you not smiling? Yeah. But another thing is to make, correct me if you disagree, but like whether you go with your family or whatever, you're with your family the majority of the time. So give some peace to the other people of the community, because I know a few families that they spend the whole piece just saying my peace might give you to each other, and they could be just a few families just offering peace to their individual family, but we're all family at mass. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. We all gather into one body, and when we receive the Eucharist, we're all one. So yeah, I can see it. I can see that just multiple just families doing that, which is, I mean, it's good. Maybe you had a fight with your brother that morning. I mean,
yes, right, yes,
but,
yeah, good point.
But I mean, yeah, you should extend it to others for sure. So I don't know.
Another thing, when you were just talking about receiving communion, is I was catechized like this, and maybe it's a pious thing of mine, but the whole communion line, well, never mind when we pray, I usually have some type of prayer hands.
Okay.
And a cool little fact, there's actual proper posture to prayer hands. Your right thumb goes over your left thumb. So that's the
Okay.
proper, that's the a proper prayer hands. But when you go up to communion, you should have your hands in a prayer position or some type of, because if people just walk up like they're waiting in school lunch or something. But have some reverence, have a little piety, not like a Pharisee, but just kind of gets you into the mindset of like what's going on, what's around you, and what you're about to receive.
Right.
And another thing, we were talking about the peace I give you, my peace I leave you. Another thing in the mass is the orange position, ORANS. So when the priest does this, he prays like this a lot. We're not to do that. So that's actually a priestly prayer position. And he's kind of gathering all of our prayers. There's like a reason. If you ever notice during mass, they say and do everything particularly, and it's actually like written down what they have to say and what they're supposed to do. And us laity, we actually have a rubric too, which is why some of these we can actually be like, you should or shouldn't be doing these, and then some things are personalized how you like to take part in mass. But some of them, so the orange position, that's a priestly thing. But I do think, how about this one, William? Do you ever see this one when we say the Our Father together, all the people that hold the hands?
Oh yeah, we do it. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay. So no. I guess similar to what you had just said. There's no law. There's no law that says you can't. But but I guess so. At the end of your family, why do you stop? Why don't you go to the neighbor? Because at that point, we should all be holding hands, and it's like a kumbaya.
Actually, the small church is on a reservation, so it's almost like a mission church, but I don't think it is. They actually, they just have chairs, inside, and they actually, do, at least they did, like they walk across the aisle and hold each other's hands. So that was pretty cool.
Oh wow! You went to a reservation church?
I did. We had a cabin up there.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so that was pretty neat. But yeah, it was. Just walk across and hold each other's hand. So
yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with it, for sure, because there's definitely fellowship and love going on there. So that's always a good thing. What's another one you had on your list, William?
So the adults I had on my list, and this is actually number one. I'm gonna just kind of go to number one, make sure I get this in there. It's kind of outside. This is kind of more for your family, more just kind of taking away from your own spiritual life, your own relationship with God. And we're kind of doing this now, but we have to because this is how we connect. This is the podcast. But it's screen time. Many people just, we're in the culture of on your screens, family life, and just taking away time with God. And actually, I believe it's true. There's a story going on Facebook, about a young girl who died last fall. She was 14, and she big post was about she died for like 14 minutes. She went to heaven, or Jesus met with her, and he basically gave her a vision and of all these people on the phones and how the shadows or the devil's helpers or demons were basically with that person on the phone, and they had a chain around the neck, and it's very detailed what happened, but just how far you can go into sin, as well as just spending time away from God just on your phone every night. So again, I do it. It does help that I have the show, so I'm on it a lot more too that way. But make sure you spend time with your family. Make sure you spend time in prayer to God. I'll just say, last couple of weeks have been hard. I haven't really spent a lot of prayer time with God, and it's hard. So it's addiction, kind of in a way, like for a lot of people with all the Minecraft. I'm blanking on all the popular games.
Oh, even YouTube. I guess I kind of, as you're saying it, I kind of catch myself, and I'm like, oh wow, I watch a lot of YouTube. That's mainly my thing. But all day long, whether it's music videos or Catholic content, it's and then I guess, as you said, I try to justify it to myself, like, oh, I'm watching Catholic content, like I'm learning stuff about the faith. But no, it's nothing can replace time with family, charitable works, praying. So yeah, that's a really good point, William.
So nothing. You still watch if you're gonna use the screen and the internet. Definitely do Catholic stuff, Catholic music, Catholic.
Check out Catholic Table Talk podcast for sure.
He's the guy who posts when the Catholic Table Talk is not in the studio, so he can. So yeah, that was just that post kind of hit hard to me, and I see a lot in my family actually. If we have the TV on, all of us at home, and we're all kind of looking at our phones, and someone usually makes a comment, David, like, "Wow,
Yeah.
this is great family time," you know.
Good for that person. Yeah, because I try to be that person. I'm the
Right.
kind of person, if you have a party, I'm like, or like a family gathering, you have a basket at the door and everyone puts their phones in there.
Oh,
I'm on my phone throughout the day more than I'd like to be, but like I do try to, when I'm with somebody, I do try to spend actual quality time with people. Be considerate. I definitely try to be like, as far as that. But that just goes to like, that's just being a good Christian, holding good Christian values. You know what I mean? Not
right.
ignoring someone or being rude. But like you said, we all catch ourselves in it from time to time. Just it's being human. But one thing that reminded me of a couple of just be actually living out the faith. So go get into confession. If you had an adoration chapel, do an adoration chapel, praying, and actually praying. And another thing is if we say we'll pray for someone, to actually think about it and get and do that prayer. And stop saying empty prayers because it's maybe not Catholic so much, but in this world, a lot of times tragedy will come to someone, even if it's on social media and 100 people. Oh, my prayers are up for you. My prayers are up, but I don't see all those people in the church pews. So if we are the Catholics who are out there saying, I'll pray for you or prayers up for you, let's actually get those prayers up to God so He can. I don't know what he about the prayers, but God definitely works with them and takes action when we offer them up.
He
Um,
does.
and another thing, there's been a couple of them lately that I noticed. Priests unaliving themselves, unfortunately, and so it's just something for us to consider that they are also human. Especially me, when I reverted back to the faith, I'm very zealous, hence the name David the Zealot. So I like to I speak out. So I'm very verbal when I disagree with something that is done at church or whatever have you. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I notice we're not always so quick to speak up when things that we do like are happening. And as humans, you could get 100 nice things said to you, but the one bad thing is kind of dwells on you. So they are human, and they do have a lot on their plate. Don't let that stop you from asking for prayers or stuff. But just kind of remember that they are human, and just little acts of kindness, whether it's an email, thank you for the or after the service, what great homily today, Father, or just kind little gestures, because they are the shepherds of the church, and they're the fathers for the reason. But even fathers in households, sometimes they need the kids come up and show like we appreciate what you're doing for the household, Dad. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, for the priests, I mean, they're celibacy, so I mean, they live quiet. Well, I shouldn't say lonely because it's like
No,
question.
no, that's kind of it. And you don't
Yeah.
think of it, but I was reading the article, and they're around people all day doing the masses. They go and do communions and baptisms and taking care of the elderly and the deathbeds and all that. But then they go home to the rectory and they are lonely. It's either them and another priest or just them by themselves. But yeah, so they're surrounded by family all day, but at night,
Right.
it is lonely. Yes.
And so actually, at this time of this broadcast, I work for the church and the Catholic school, actually, David.
Oh,
And
nice.
so, of course, in Minnesota, you have snowstorms.
Yeah.
So,
We get some
I
of those.
oh, I bet. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this past winter, I was I can stay at the rectory because I live a little ways away, about 20
Oh,
minutes.
sweet.
So I don't like winter driving. I know I'm from Minnesota. I don't like ice fishing. I don't like winter driving, but a lot of people don't. So I'm not the only one. But so at the rectory, there was a big snowstorm coming in. So I just said, "Can I stay there?" And people were like, "Yep, stay at the rectory." Father will be there today because we have now we have three priests, but back then we only had one priest for 8 parishes.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, so Father's gonna be there tonight. Okay. And he had confessions, and so, but later that night, when we got into the rectory, he's like, "Well, Billy, what you got planned tonight?" I'm like, "Father, it's like 8:40. I gotta be up in like 7 hours. I might catch up on some sleep. I don't know. How about you?" "Oh, okay." And I just kind of like walked away. I'm like, "Man, it seemed like you want to do something." And I mean, so yeah, don't feel like you are boring to priests, and I mean, again, invite them out to your to your place for a cookout, because
Great
again,
idea. Yeah. Great
yeah,
idea. Yeah.
I mean, they do want to continue because you're the flock that they're leading. You're the fam in the congregation.
Very
So
much. Yep.
I mean, no one likes going home, and sitting in a quiet and lonely place. So definitely.
So
So
did you and that priest ever did you go to bed that night or did you guys play some Monopoly or something?
no, I to be honest, I worked on an episode and I went to bed.
Yeah.
My bad.
Billy.
I know. I
So you
blew it.
thought about it. He said, "Oh man, he really needs someone to hang out with." Oh, I'm busy. I'm going.
And I sure I called him up the next morning and said, can we have a confession today?"
Yeah.
But so next time, that's you make mistakes and you learn from them, right?
Yes, sir. Another thing, as dudes, especially to the men out there, take part in any parish activities you can. If you're a father, get your son up to altar serving. Offer to read at the lectors. Any extra Eucharistic ministers, if they have them, ushers, those kind of stuff. And dress presentable when you go to church. We don't have to like wear suit, 3-piece suits or whatever. But like t-shirts and shorts. There's some things that in Boston that I wish we didn't have. Some of the girls in the summertime. My sister even comments on the lack of attire, if we may.
Yeah,
So just remember that it is God's house, and to try to treat it with respect. So no talking in church. That's another one.
that's actually a thing. I didn't really know that, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't know it was a sin. It makes sense because it's my, I don't know. My dad just harped on me. Like, even if you do, it's little whispers. Like, don't let anyone hear. You know what I mean? But nowadays, I see there'll be older women. They're usually like the 67-year-old woman, and they're having like brunch chat before. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, like you can hear them like 6 pews away, and I'm like, lady, I'm trying to,
Right.
give thanks and praise to the Lord.
Yeah, it's I mean,
But and that's respecting God and your fellow brethren. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're good. And I mean, I thought about it. I've been thinking about this recently too. I'm in church. I, I I tend to daydream in church as well, and and it's kind of like, this is where everything is white right now. This is where you don't have to worry about what's outside, the politics. You don't worry about anything. This is you're at the mass, like you said, the Lamb's Supper. I
Mhm.
mean, this is be present in that moment. So just everything's white. This is where you're supposed to be. This is how you're worshiping God, how He wants to be worshipped. So just kind of be in the moment, and yeah, if you get tired from a homily, might be too long, but again, stay focused, stay in the present moment. So
Yes, good advice. Good, and listen to the homily. Don't drift off because it's you're not because there's going to be something that's there for you. You know what I mean? Um,
absolutely,
but yeah, no, I used to drift off. Now, if anything, I find myself getting distracted if there's something like a super obnoxious child or something. But I
sure,
know I do try to pay attention. And one thing that I had a priest recently tell me at a class I was at is we were learning about like TLM and stuff, but this goes for any mass. So if you're ever in like a mass that they're speaking Latin or an actual Latin mass, or you don't even completely understand what's going on at the Novus Ordo, what he said to do and what people historically always done is it's called praying the mass. So
sure,
if you don't know where you are or what part we are in the mass, just pray. Like pray like then you're partaking in the mass. So because ultimately it's like mostly prayers and like scripture readings and stuff. That's pretty much what the worship is. So
right,
when he ever said that to me, it helps you a lot. It helps you from days and off and stuff because you just it's I don't know why I shared that, but like he shared it with me and I've found it useful many of times at mass. Maybe you start to drift off or something, or at a Latin mass you're like, I don't know exactly what is being, and you just pray the mass because that's ultimately what we're there for.
right, absolutely. And if I may, I mean, I'll go on to like another dude that um I'm blanking. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm blanking on what's it called. Help me out, David. When the priest is facing away from you, not the Latin Mass, it's still the Novus Ordo, but when the
No,
priest,
Norvis Ordo, he looks at you. The Latin Mass, he's looking the same direction as us.
right, but there's a new, like, before they switched it in the 60s, or the Second Vatican Council, the priests always looked away from the people too, not in the Latin
Yeah,
Mass.
so he'd look the same way we're looking.
Right.
So now
Right.
we look at, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Well,
but
because he was offering it up with us, yeah.
right. And actually, that's more coming back, at least in the diocese that we are currently living in. So we kind of switch. We're on two dioceses, the Diocese of St. Cloud and Diocese of Duluth. We're on the boundaries of those. But in the Diocese of St. Duluth, Bishop Felton has said to all the priests, you can face away from the people. Like it has.
Oh, it's ad orientem. That's what it is.
Yes. Thank
ad
you.
orientem. Yep.
I forgot. So I mean, like this past Sunday, we went to it because it's every second Sunday of the month, and they can do that. So we went to it, and they have the big high altar, and it's just, I don't know, it just seems like there's something.
It's yes.
Yeah.
So if you care briefly, so I guess before pre-Vatican II, that's how for like 1500 years it was. So what was happening is the priest was offering up the sacrifice of the mass for us. So we were all together, and I believe most of the altars were always facing east. There's a certain way that they were facing. The altar was facing. The priest would face the same way as us, because he was just the head of the church who's offering it up on our behalf. So it was all partaken of together. And another cool thing that they switched, which I hope they start to bring back, is the altar rails used to go. So at the end of the
Sanctuary?
altar, sanctuary, the altar rails would line the whole thing. So no layman would ever go up on the altar. Only the clergy and men who were like lectoring and stuff in the altar boys. So like before 1970, no women or girls were ever up on the altar. That's why it's kind of taboo for some people to see altar girls or women reading the scriptures and stuff, because historically it was only men. But it was a more beautiful thing, and it kind of separated the Holy of Holies from us. So like you'd come in from the outside regular world, and then you're in like the God's church, which is where we go to, get clean and offer up our forgiveness and say thank you for everything that he's done. And then the priest in the Eucharist was all like up on the altar, separate from us. Do you know what I mean? So the priest would offer it up. He would do the whole mass, offer it up, and then we would go up to the altar rails, and everyone would kneel. But no one, so it was kind of like, but that's where all the reverence and respect and the awe and wonder, because it wasn't so nonchalant with like just walking up and give me my wafer and like, you know what I mean? It was like all the women would wear veils. It was like it was kind of different. And I'm not in neither here nor there, but it is beautiful. The more. So for example, when I was growing up and I was catechized, they taught us to receive it in the hand. Right. And I just recently learned that like for a lot of history, you receive it because it's the body of Christ, and only consecrated hands of the priest touch it. So the theory is only those consecrated hands, which they had oil and all this amazing stuff like done by God. So it's literally the bread touched by him right into your mouth. So there's not all this like regular people with dirt. It just kind of watered down the reverence and the severity of it, which is maybe why some people don't fear God as much as they used to. Because before it was like it was probably more of a spectacle in a glorious sense. But yeah, it's so the more you can see churches return to that, it's just so it's awe inspiring. It really is.
It is. And actually, priest or deacon come out who gave the homily a couple of weeks ago on that. He said the exact same thing. He's like, our hands were oiled.
Yeah.
You guys wore it. This is God. Oh yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of it like that. And also, let me throw this at you, David, because at the church, again, I'm not bashing anyone at the church who's opposite sizes, so don't take offense.
Of course, yeah.
But So at our church, the same priest who I, had a discussion with in the rectory about doing stuff, um, he's not the pastor, but he wants to bring back the communion wheels, and they're up in the choir loft, and so he wants to bring them back, but a lot of people are against it. Can I just ask you, David, why you think a lot of people are against it? You mentioned fear of God, you don't really have that anymore. Um, I'm just kind of, I guess, baffled by that. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's actually a really good question, and I understand the bewilderment by you. So the new age of Catholics, they don't really like the old traditional ways.
that's true.
For example, I went back to the same parish I made my confirmation at 20 years ago, and I since left, and I'm at a more reverent parish who they have the altar nailers and way more they have an adoration chapel. I didn't even know adoration was a thing growing up. But I went to teach the CCD class at the church where I grew up in, and they're a lot more modernized. So they had these two ladies who ran the whole CCD thing, and I was learning how to teach the class and stuff. I ended up not taking it because these women didn't really want to teach Jesus too much. It's in a rough neighborhood, and they just want the kids to feel safe and like have somewhere to be for an hour a week. And I'm like, well, what about the Jesus though? Because that's what you guys did to me. And knowing that I really went to CCD, went still practices Catholicism. Because instead of telling us about Jesus, you were just like having cookies and crumpets and safe time. But so I had asked like about veiling to these women. So if the women that are like 65, 70, they were young girls when they didn't have to veil. So
Okay.
they're staunch on we don't veil anymore. So even the younger women who bring the veils back, some of the older women give them pushback because they remember when they had to wear the veils. Um, and with the communion nailers and stuff, because I was actually told that I would when we were taught to receive like this, and I would see old people receiving on the in the mouth. So I would ask, I'm like, oh, what's that about? And you would get taught like, oh, that's we don't do that anymore, kind of thing. But so there's something about the tradition. So if you ask me, and this might be like a conspiracy theory, but I think the devil would want the least amount of reverence, respect for God, any type of piety. So I think it's the devil trying to get into the church and say like, no, you don't have to be so reverent. Women, veiling's an option. Nailing for their communions, everything's an option. You don't need beautiful music. You can have Hillsong. Like you kind of. Um, and then the good God-fearing people are like, no, we need to remain the reverence for God. And I'm by no mean like a traditionalist or anything. I do appreciate the history and tradition. Um, so and definitely it's a fine line because Taylor Marshall, for example, I guess he has some hot takes on some
He does. Yeah.
topics. So yeah, I was trying to say it as nicely as I could. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no,
Yep.
I'm all for tradition, but also not in the sense of like, because it's a slippery slope if you become like a rad trad and you start bashing anyone who doesn't do what you feel the proper way. So, for example, like communion, the reverent traditional way is to receive it on the tongue, nailing. But
Right.
also, technically, the Catholic Church accepts communion in the hand. So while it might be less reverent, they're not heretics or like any type of like derogatory names. It's just some people. Um, but that's one thing I don't that I find divisive in the church, which there aren't many things because it's the universal church. Is these options of so like traditional women will opt to veil, but it's not a law. The whole thing where you said like it's not a law, so it's like oh, there's two camps of like oh well, we prefer to do it this way, we prefer to do it this way, and then you feel like if they don't do it your way, they're against you, and we're all Catholics at the end of the day.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, thank you. I know. I mean, okay. I put you on the spot there, so I apologize, David. But
Oh no,
that
no,
was good.
I love it. I love hot takes and those type of things. Yeah.
But I mean, I think
It's actually a really good question, Williams. Actually, I bet you there's a lot of Catholics who think that. But I
oh
love to hear that your parish or your diocese seems to be trying to get more traditional or old school, and some you can just see it in the pews. Like, so I think when the less reverent people become, more people become like that. Like some people, well, why am I going to be the only one who receives on the tongue? And then it slowly starts becoming less and less reverent. But I also find the opposite. The more and more reverent or pious people become, more people start to pick up on it. So at church, for example, I always try to read like all the responsorials. I do all the responses. I try to say them loud and clear, not to be like a Pharisee or anything, but I've noticed from experience that a lot of people either don't know we're supposed to be doing them, or they don't think it's cool to be doing them. So just like to lead by example, I'm like, not only should we, but like it's the cool thing to do. Like, and at the beginning of the mass and by the end, a lot more people are picking up the singing songs and the missals and stuff. And if that's all I can do for God is to try to get his people more like in love and like worshiping him, it's better than nothing, right?
Good for you. I mean, again, a lot of people are scared to pick up a hymnal and sing, right? But actually, I guess I mean, if you sing, you pray like you're praying twice. So, I mean, maybe you don't have the as good as voice as as Mrs. Johnson behind you, but again, you can still sing and worship God. So I really like that, David. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm not a good singer. There's actually Mrs. Johnson. She sits in front of me. I call her Church Jane, and she makes fun of my voice all the time. She says, "Oh, I can't get as low as you get." But no, even like if you're not a great singer, I'd imagine even just holding your song note and like pretending you're reading, because people don't know. And one thing I noticed, the children love it. Like the young boys and girls, when they like see me singing, they're like mesmerized, and they're like, you know what I mean? So it's like if you can even just instill a little faith in a child of God, glory to God for that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I think we got time for let's sneak one more in, David. If that's all right with you. Again, we're talking with David Anderson. He's the host of the Zealots Den. Check him out on YouTube. He does great stuff on there. And yeah, I mean, again, we'll hopefully get him back on the show sometime in the future. Because I'm really enjoying the conversation, and again, we're making it work, even though Satan's shaking his head probably right now. But we got good guardian angels and Saint Michael with us, so we'll keep going for one more do or don't, whichever one you want to do. I'll lead it. I'll start. I'll turn it back to you. Which
you do yours first.
Oh, well, if you insist. I mean,
you got some good ones.
Okay. I don't. So
you want me to go? You can think about yours.
I was just gonna say, like, just having adults when I was coming up with the list. I mean, it was just kind of hard to do with adults, right? Because it's like, I mean, yeah, maybe
don't skip church.
Yeah,
that's a don't.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll let you go ahead since you're the guest.
Well, I guess my last do would be is how do I put this concisely? Do more than the bare minimum. So on holy days of obligation, they're obligatory. But when you go to church in the morning, get dressed up, as I said, show up appropriately, show up early. So like if you go to 9 o'clock mass, you don't show up at 8:57. Show up like at least 10 minutes early. You want to offer up all your prayers. You want to say sorry for anything and maybe pray for a loved one. Just kind of get familiar, be seen by the church community. There's plenty to do. So get there early. Do all the genuflexion motions. So like if you ever cross the altar, you bow. If you go by the tabernacle, you drop on a knee and you do the sign of the cross. So there's all those things before you get into the pew. You genuflect. Pray when you after we receive communion, kneel. Don't skip on the nails. Don't be one of those lazy people who like, oh, it's a nailing part, but I'm gonna sit like because God knows all these things. You know what I mean? I'm not judging you, but God might be. And then if you can just add any piety to the church. So one thing that this parish that I'm at does that we never did before, at the end of the parish, we do a St. Michael prayer. We have a nice big St. Michael statue. If your parish, here's a do, William. What do you think about this? If you're not being spiritually fed at your parish, there's enough Catholic churches. If you live in America, find one that you feel at home in, and you love going, and you part, like, don't go because you're Catholic and this is the closest one, and you not suffering through it, but it's not as reverent or as spiritually fulfilling as you want. There's got to be another one 7 minutes down the road.
Unless it's a winter storm in Minnesota and that's the closest one, then if it depends on if you're gonna make it to mass or not, then yes. But otherwise, I totally get you.
100%, William. Oh no, yeah. At the end of the day, like if there's a priest and there's an altar and he can do a communion for you, yeah, that's any church is better than no church. But I just mean for people to I'd hate to see someone like leave the Catholic Church or something because whether it just wasn't reverent enough or the homilies weren't fulfilling or what have you. So just find one that you fit in and fits in with you. So like you can help the church. So be part of the community. That's one thing. It's not like in I don't want to say in Protestant land, but like we're a fellowship, one whole body. So it's not just like you're going to church to kind of get your vibes right with God. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm feeling a little down on my God vibe, so let me go to church and fill up. It's like, no, we go to church to be part of the community so we can partake in society and so we can all hopefully help each other strive to get into heaven.
Amen. I like that one. I really do.
Thank you, William.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if there's much that I don't agree with you, but
yeah.
We'll find something. But like, so I think I'll do another do as well. I think, and basically, I mean, you could maybe pick like 2 do's out of this one, but basically, again, at the end of the day, is like, I mean, having that prayer life, like I mentioned, but also having the relationship with God, right? I mean, being in state of grace, I always say at the end of my episodes, like stay in state of grace, go to sacraments.
Easier said than done, William. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, running across the battle. So yeah, it is hard, especially for some Catholics. Some Catholics are addicted to things. But yeah, I mean, just having that right relationship with God, and basically another thing is another priest talked about like a month ago. He's like, just if you only stay a mortal sin, right? Because the Catholic Church only requires you that you receive really communion 1 time a year, and that's during the Easter season. Because the church we know, and the church knows that people, we're all humans, we all mess up, and we all mess up a lot. So get to confession, like being right with God, and so that just hit me. And he's like, if you only stay a mortal sin, which I deal with scrupulosity, David. So it's
me too.
It's tough at times, and I've had priests is like just okay. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be. I mean,
okay,
yeah. It's like I don't want to be like, yes, I'm like over scrupulous, but then it's like, well, I do have fear of God in me. I feel like I feel like I got that really good after a confirmation. I feel like the Lord granted me that more. But anyway, the priest was saying, if you understand a grave sin, don't receive communion. Don't receive communion because of what others might think, like you said. Do what is what get the blessing, because he's like, people shouldn't be judging you, right? We're not judging you. No one's judging you. They shouldn't be. This is all about God.
I think it's beautiful to see people remain in the pews during the communion, because that means they do love and fear God, and they're being honest with God in themselves. And so the fact that you have enough humility that you'd stay in the pew, I find there's nothing embarrassing or judgmental about it. I find it commendable. I respect the people who because then, never mind, the beautiful thing about the Catholic Church is you don't know if it's a small mortal sins or mortal sin, but you don't know if it was like the worst thing in the world or what have you, or if they're just like a visiting Protestant or something. You don't know the reason why they're not, but that's between them and God. But no, that was a good point, not to receive if unworthily.
And I mean, I've had a couple, like a good friend come up to me afterwards, and he's like, "Are you okay? I didn't see you receive. Are you doing okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm." I went to confession in between that, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing fine." But I mean, and then you have maybe other people pray for you because they see you like, "Oh no, I wonder is he okay? I'll maybe do an extra sacrifice for him or something." And I mean, one thing with that, David, is when I see people, and again, scrupulosity, I think now, I'm like, okay, that was venial, that wasn't mortal. Okay, I'm okay with see, right? I kind of second guess myself on what, but yeah, so that's why I had, but so
Well, I guess one thing to just leave the people with on that note of confession and stuff, a good examination of conscience. And one thing that I've actually noticed is you can like look up an examination of conscience. They have little checklists and stuff, which helps people with like scrupulosity. Because sometimes you're like, oh, how can I think of everything? Which you don't have to, first of all. But there's literally like, have I done this? It goes through like the 10 Commandments and some other things. And it just helps you kind of an easier, quick little examination of conscience, which is important as a Christian to examine your conscience, not even just for confession, but just to kind of always keep yourself honest. You know what I mean?
absolutely, because I mean, we all need more honesty. So
the world needs more honesty. Yes.
yeah. Okay, I think we talked a lot, and we got a lot, I think, good things, and I think lots of good content out there for the people. And I mean, hopefully you found something out of this that you're like, man, I need to be doing more of that. Or I mean,
yeah, like three of your five. Yeah, you had some good ones, William.
Oh, you do too. Yeah, that was
Thanks,
good,
brother.
like
Thanks, brother. Yeah,
you're welcome. So we'll stay on. We're gonna talk a little bit afterwards, David. We'll have a little after show here in just a moment. But for everyone on, again, Zealots Den on YouTube, check them out. Subscribe to them. Let them know that you're listening or watching the show. Again, great content, great speakers. I highly recommend it. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, man, it's been that long away. No, seriously, David. I
thank
really
you,
enjoy
William.
it.
Thank you. Yeah. So, honestly, it happens to me sometimes during the during the thing.
Yeah,
time does fly when you're having fun.
it sure does. So again,
That was tonight. Tonight we almost like doubled our time just by just not even paying attention and talking about God and church and fellowship. Yeah.
I mean, we could be doing a lot worse things than that amount of time. So praise God. Amen.
Amen to that.
And what? There's David Anderson, Zealots Den. Check him out. Stay in the state of grace. Go to the sacraments, and God willing, we'll see you next week on Catholic Table Talk.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Catholic Table Talk podcast, where everything Catholic is on the table. Don't forget to subscribe to Catholic Table Talk on your favorite podcast platform to get new episodes delivered directly to you every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern.